I'm Matt, and I'm an engineer at Symantec. It sounds a little bit like an AA introduction. I'm Matt, and I'm an engineer. I am addicted to information security, though. Like Andy, who was on before me, I work at Symantec, primarily focusing with the U.S. Department of Defense. As a quick background, I've been in IT for about 20 years, everything from network support specialist, which meant at the time I was small enough to drag Cat5 through a ceiling without falling through too often. And like many people in this industry, I've had a number of different title bingo cards. Right? For the last 11 or so years, though, I've been focusing on information security. So I wanted to speak to you today on cybersecurity education, because I strongly believe that this is what's going to take us, strongly this is going to have a great impact on our ability to secure our infrastructure and information going forward. Fair warning, I'm going to use language that not everyone in this room may be comfortable with. I'm going to say cyber interchangeably with information security. I know, I can already see people are going to be like, oh no, I'm going to catch a case of the cybers. Right? And the reason that I'm going to use that, though, is because this is what people outside of our industry use to define us, right? And we need to be able to speak their language if we want to try to pull them into our community. So during the talk, I'm going to describe why cybersecurity education matters. Then I'm going to go into some of the challenges we're currently facing as an industry, and wrapping up with how I think we can really supercharge the education process. So why does it matter? As you all know, we are fighting an asymmetric battle against known and unknown adversaries. These adversaries use seemingly limitless resources to attack us, as was seen when Krebs was taken offline. If anybody doesn't know who Brian Krebs is, he's probably the lead investigative reporter for cybersecurity in the world. If he calls your company, you're probably going to have a pretty bad day. So we're seeing attackers also launch increasingly sophisticated attack campaigns at our companies, our governments, and our citizens, using everything from watering hole attacks to spear phishing to crypto ransomware. One of the interesting stories we ran into was a police station in New York, right? Got hit with crypto ransomware. All of their information was locked up with a little key saying, "Hey, if you pay us," you saw a screen earlier from Andy, "if you pay us $200, we'll give it back to you." The police station contacts the FBI and says, "Hey, help us, FBI." The FBI says, "Well, pay them, because you're not going to get your data back if you don't pay them." Right? Police station decided that they didn't want to do that, and they had to rebuild their entire environment from paper reports. In sharp contrast to this, we see information security experts as a rare commodity, with over 200,000 open positions in the US alone, and a shortfall of 1.5 million by the year 2019. Think about that as an organization. We're going to have 1.5 million job openings that are not going to be able to be filled by the year 2019. It's a pretty incredible number. So we need to reassess, how do we educate people? How do we get them interested? How do we bring them into our field so that we can fill this void? To drive this point home, at this year's Black Hat conference, 72% of the organizations said they did not have enough people to fill their current threat landscape. And a cybersecurity ventures survey said that there is zero unemployment in information security. So everybody here probably has a job or should have a job. There's lots of open positions. There's just not enough people to fill these holes. Now that I've told you what everybody here probably already knew, right? Let's take a look at some of the big issues we have as an industry. We live in a world that believes cyber equals magic, and not just because of all the graybeards. You only have to turn on the TV or read the news to see how information security or cyber is portrayed as magic. In the TV show CSI Cyber, I'm sure there's lots of people here who have it on their DVR, right? A little hate watching fun. Internet murder ghosts can kill you by blowing up your microwave. In the show Scorpion, MacGyver-esque hackers save the day with only seconds to spare. I have never plugged a laptop into a Cat5 cable that was dangling from an airplane while I was driving my car. Maybe I'm not lead enough. I don't know. Maybe we need to make that part of a certification course. This is how people outside the industry view us. They see these shows and they go, wow, these people can do magic. The list goes on and on. The movie Hackers, I think it was 95, 96, right? Fun movie, not real. To this day, I still want to hack a Gibson though. The Matrix, great outfits. I look horrible in latex, otherwise that's what I would have showed up in. But again, it's not very real. Nobody in the industry sits back and just watches code stream down. Right? If they did, they'd have a lot better job. This is how the industry is portrayed to the masses, though. It's a wonder that we get a hard time when we're trying to explain to people, hey, this is just a normal job, 9 to 5. Actually, none of our jobs are probably 9 to 5. But it's a normal job. Anybody can do it if they have the desire to do it, right? You don't have to raise your hand, but I'm guessing that a number of people in this room have been asked by their peers or people outside the industry, can you hack my password like right now? Can you do that for me? Or, hey, can you do this totally crazy thing? You're a hacker, right? But you could break into a bank and steal like $1 million. They have this view that is unrealistic, but it's painted by our media. So we need to change this for a lot of reasons, but one of the most important is that potential candidates are scared to get into information security because they believe they'll be muggles in a wizard's world. At a conference recently in Germany, I was speaking with a young woman who was just finishing up her bachelor's degree in computer science. And we were just chatting back and forth, and she said, I really want to get into information security. I'm very interested in this, but I don't think I can do it. I think I'm too far behind. There's too many people. I'm not going to be able to do it. And of course, I assured her that nobody in the industry actually knows what they're doing. We all just pretend really well. We all just fake it. But this type of thinking, we have to fix it, because I think a lot of people have that, where we have these great candidates that come in, but they don't even try because they're worried that they won't be able to make it. People will laugh at them. There's a talk going on right now in one of the other rooms about imposter syndrome in the industry, right? It's incredible. Everybody thinks that somebody else has this secret knowledge, right? When in fact, we're all just trying to find our way. So we need to change the way our education model works, not just because we need more professionals, which we desperately need, but because we need real people to understand this isn't magic. Again, anybody can do this if they have the right desire and passion for it. So we just need to look at the incredible number of open positions today to know that our current training and education model isn't generating enough candidates. So how do we teach information security today? There's very little formal education that truly focuses on the skills necessary to be effective from day one in this field. People too often come out of college with degrees, but no real skills. Colleges are trying to catch up, but they just aren't getting there quite yet. Many in the industry are self-taught, using caffeine and curiosity to drive our learning process. Some people take certification courses, hoping to learn something that will make them more marketable. Some people take boot camps, hoping that a short-term infusion of knowledge will help their long-term growth. Or one of the scarier ways I've actually seen is, you don't really fit on the network team, so we're going to put you over on the security team and see how you do there. Call that the rehoming technique. And more of us than we'd like to admit are thrown into the fire with the old, hey, you look smart. You're in IT. Why don't you do our security also? So how has this worked out for us? There are some successes. We have some incredible information security professionals. They're self-taught, or who finished a degree and never stopped learning, but we don't have enough. We have some successes with people going through certification or boot camps and running with it and becoming great engineers, but we still don't have enough to fill that void. And while we have some successes, they're not the norm. We find engineers with no historical knowledge, not knowing why they should do something, just that they were told to. We find engineers that have a limited skill set, learning a specific tool, but not how it fits into the greater whole of their network environment. And then we have the theory versus real world, where people are trained to pass a test, but not to actually apply their newfound knowledge. Compound that with an ever-changing environment. and we have a recipe for failure. Those who have been in the industry for any number of years have seen how quickly it changes, from mainframes to PCs on every desktop to the cloud to the internet of everything. I'm sure many people in this room have a smart thermostat in their house or security cameras. The denial of service attack I mentioned earlier against Brian Krebs was actually carried out by connected Internet of Things devices. Right? Security cameras were part of this 638 gigabit denial of service attack against this one website. And there's no easy button, right? If there was, we would already be doing it, and there'd be 0 empty positions, and things would just be rolling along. As an industry, we've been trying to figure this out. How do we train enough information security professionals to fill the current need and prepare for future needs? We need to change our education and training model from traditional one-size-fits-all, multiple choice, lecture and textbook style to more rapid education processes. Information security professionals have limited time for training, so we need to make the most of that time when we can find it, which is why we need the process to be rapid. Boot camps are supposed to provide knowledge, but usually are just fast passes to test taking. This is why the education process has to be truly educational. And we need it to be continuous training process. We need it to allow for flexible anytime training with assessments, which can be run annually, monthly, up to the industry that they're in, right? We also need to engage our executive leadership and include them in the training process to give them a real idea of what information security is and how it impacts the overall business. With the current market for information security professionals being so red hot, offering continuous training is a key differentiator in hiring and retaining talent. It is cheaper to train and invest in your people than to hire new people that may or may not work out. Through the rapid education process, we will be able to field more information security professionals with skills that have been tested and proven to better protect our critical information and infrastructure. So as part of this process, we use hands-on, real-world, story-based training modules that allow us to train people whether they're new to the industry or have years of experience. We start with a short assessment module so we know where we are starting and what the strengths of the person are. Maybe the person has been mostly on the network side, or is a Windows admin, or is an established pen tester. One of the great things about this industry, one of the things I really, really love about this industry, is that there's always more to learn. It doesn't matter if you're a 20-year vet or you're brand new. Starting with an assessment allows us to gear the modules to the trainee and keeps the more experienced people from being bored and the less experienced from being overwhelmed. We set the modules to allow for specific skills. So if a trainee is changing careers and is trying to build up some web application security knowledge, we'll gear the module that way. Or maybe they just need to get some more continuing education credits. This will fill that void also. Using modules or scenario-based training allows you to train people that are brand new, as well as experienced candidates or experienced professionals. For these modules, we will use story-based tutorials or scenarios. Studies have shown that using this technique grabs and retains the trainee's attention. It also makes learning fun instead of a chore. While reading tech books all night, maybe it's helpful, you usually don't really retain as much as you want to. We need to use gamification, which isn't just a fun word, to enhance high retention of the concepts and tools used in these scenarios. I mean, who doesn't like to play games now and then, right? The modules and scenarios used in our rapid education process can also be used in capture the flag events to see what the trainees have learned in a competitive environment. One example of this is an annual Cyber War Games event that we run internally, where everyone from salespeople to developers to executives are allowed to participate in the capture a flag event that lasts over 5 days. Each team is given a scenario, a story to follow, while collecting a flag. In one of the scenarios, one of the ones I really enjoyed, we were the nation of Piratia, and we were attacking the nation of Siberia, right? And our end goal was actually to take out their oil infrastructure. There are a few things that grab people's attention as much as seeing a kinetic effect to a cyber attack. This type of story-based training is really geared to this industry and the people who want to be in this industry. Every time a trainee goes through one of these types of exercises, they learn more. Just like any skill, the more you drill, the more it becomes second nature. I ran an event for some pen testers, just trying to train them up, have some fun. And we ran through an event that was called the coffee shop, right? And some people in here may have run through similar things in capture the flag events, where they were bored and they were at a coffee shop and they wanted to get free coffee, right? So they went through and they hacked the network, did some web application hacking, cracked some passwords. And it's funny because right after that, we started chatting. They're like, this is the type of training we really want. We don't want somebody to sit us down with a book or a lecture and say, hey, this is your new knowledge. Go forth. Going through the story-based training really engaged them and allowed them to learn a lot more than they would have otherwise. As Miyamoto Musashi said, you can only fight the way you practice, right? So in your day-to-day job, if you're not practicing the way that you normally, if you're not learning how you would actually engage in your job, you're not going to retain it and you're not going to enjoy it as much. Another quick example is another story-based CTF event that we ran for some people down in Colorado Springs. The participants had gone through a different training class, again, more of a lecture-based training class 6 months prior, and weren't able to remember the commands and tools they had used in that class. We went through the training, and months afterwards, I ran into some of the participants in another conference, and they still remembered the things they did. They remembered the steps because it was a story. As humans, we naturally learn through story-based education. It's how we've done it for thousands of years. It's how we retain the knowledge best. Training using story-based tutorials, or as some studies call them, story-torials. For this, maybe we'll call them cyber-torials, I don't know. Is shown to be really effective in getting people trained more quickly and helping them retain that knowledge more so than they would otherwise. So when you're building your training for people, build a story around it. As an extension of this, of our rapid education process, we need to look to the experienced professionals in our industry for leadership. We have experienced professionals that have a wealth of knowledge and are willing to share it. If you're new to the industry, look for mentors to help you on your journey. None of us got to where we are going it alone. I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the talk, that I had been a network support technician and a number of other things. I wouldn't have been able to move through the industry. I wouldn't have been able to grow without great mentors and people helping me along my path. For the companies out there that are looking to hire more information security people, you should look at adding internships or apprenticeships to help your newer team members and also to find new people that may not have the experience yet, but can get it quickly. There are many people out there just looking for a chance to show what they can do. Let's give them the opportunity. And for the experienced old farts in the room like me, the best way to learn is to teach. Find someone that is new to the industry and help them learn. Maybe there's a project or something you've been meaning to research, but you haven't found the time. Hand it off to someone, hand it off to an apprentice, hand it off to a new person, and help them learn how to research it, but then have them teach it back to you. We also need to go out into the world to promote information security. If you have the opportunity, go to a high school to speak. Go to a college, go to career days. If you have a local library, see if they have talks. Reach out into the broader community to help attract more talent. Let's work together to increase the number of people in our industry that have skills and knowledge to be truly exceptional engineers. And because it isn't an information security brief without having a Sun Tzu quote in it, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and seek to win. This is basically saying the victorious warriors win through training. They get their experience first and then they go to battle. They learn what they need and then they go to battle. So have some time if anybody had any questions. All right, only a few naps. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, and I hope we can move forward and move this effort forward and change the way that we train people and the way that we bring people into the industry so that we can really build up a great next generation of information security professionals. Thank you.